Alrighty. Greetings. Can't believe I'm actually here. It's hard to believe I'm here. Really hard to believe I'm here at all. Let's have a look. Hello, happily ever after. I guess you're newly married or something? Hello, Ivona. Please give us some updates of what happened about the little sick pets. Hold on, let me just check in with you guys. Yeah, there we are. Greetings. Lumination. I'm offering more Super Chat mini readings if anyone's interested. I'll hang out here for a little while and we'll see what happens. Anyway, yes, welcome, happily ever after. I really wish you the best. Ivona, please tell us what happened about the little cat. I think there was some troubles. Hello, Incognito. I know you've been here before. And Nikki, greetings. And Love Driver. Uh-oh, wake up, everybody. Love Driver's here. The white tornado is here among us. Oh, you lost him. Oh, I'm very sad. I'm very sad. I'm sorry. I know, Ivona, how much... I don't know what to say, really. It's just very sad. It sounds like he already knew he was going. And he turned to you for the last moments of comfort in his life. From what you were telling us, he was a little feral cat, a wild cat that would normally never go near a human being except out of desperation, and I guess that's what happened. So let's just assume he's in kitty cat heaven. Okay. So, Incognito, if you want a mini reading, can you do the donation thingy? There's in case people who haven't been here before, that happens. You can do Super Chat. It's the fastest, easiest way. You just press the button down below where you type. It looks like a little gray box that has a $sign in it. You can click that and you can swipe a card for, $10 or whatever. Something like that. Also, if you want, by the way, you can donate directly to Lumination by PayPal using the address. I'll show you here. Hold on. Well, you can do it. First of all, you can go this way. You can go to terraillumination.com and you can find the donate page and just click that button, and that does the same thing as Super Chat. It just opens up a payment processor. And then, let's see, also if you want to, you can kind of like, where is it? Okay. It's just a little different way to get there. You can send PayPal money over to this email. This is Terraillumination's email address. alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. Just send your PayPals there. Thank you very much. Hello, Shata Al-Dabas. Oh, hey, it sounds like you're new. Thank you. Welcome. Hey, Sata, can you tell us where you are, like locations? I'd love to see it on the maps. Yes, I know what you're saying, Ivona, about the kitty cats being special. I've had to deal with, I would say, well, I'm not a veterinarian, so I don't see it all day, every day. My sister is a veterinarian doctor, and of course she's had to deal with a lot of painful issues to do with mostly cats and dogs and some birds, but a lot of the time she was, I guess you could call like a commercial vet who worked for farms and farmers and for the government to make sure that the farms were healthy and the animals and the livestock were good, and if there were problems with the livestock, the farmers were to get in touch with my sister. But she also took care of pets, cats and dogs, and so on. Okay? Sata, you're in Jordan. Wow, excellent. Oh, let me get my little map. Hold on, I love doing this stuff. Hold on. Okay, let me get my little map here. Now you can't really see it very well. It's hard to see, but Jordan is over here. So I don't know if the camera will pick it up. I mean, I can't even see it myself, but Jordan is right in here on the Eastern Mediterranean, okay? And over there, I mean, it's not tropical weather. Like, this is the equator here, okay? This is the equator, but things get really hot even over here at the Tropic of Cancer, okay? So anyway, that's Jordan. So that's where Sata is, just surfing around YouTube. Okay, well, you are welcome. This is Tarot Illumination, and we do these like live mini readings for people. I've done thousands of readings for people all over the world. You're welcome to hang out. So I'm just going to keep hanging out here for a little bit. I'm going to go on to an astrodoodle for the day while people figure out if they want a reading or not. If you want a reading, like I said, do the super chat or email directly here, or go to tarotlumination.com and do the this thing. This would be the donate button over here. Okay? Okay. So, I don't know what YouTube is like for you over there in Jordan, Sata, but there's a lot of upheaval here. I'm trying to stay on the sweet side of YouTube now because I've suffered a lot of damage and I can't afford any more. A really fun super channel that I like and some of my friends like, they were just shut down recently, and they started a new channel and that was just shut down. So a lot of it's happening here in America, like censorship. I noticed on the things I was browsing last night before I went to sleep. Sometimes I grab a few minutes at night before I go to sleep, and I click on a little bits of YouTube on the big screen here, and what's this called? A Red Pill Project or something. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, they just got shut down. They're kind of. I don't want to talk. I can't really talk about this stuff anymore because otherwise I'll get shut down. I'm already just hanging on. And anyway, it was kind of weird last night. I had, well, it's just another evening, and I had a little sip of wine going on and some snacks as I was starting to fall asleep. And we stumbled on this video from a fellow called The German in Venice. And it's a German fellow who's been living in Venice Beach, California for 30 years. I lived there for 20 years. Anyway, he goes around on his bicycle and films things and talks to people. And he's very, very popular. And so yesterday he put up a video where he saw this pop star called Rihanna hanging out in public on Venice Beach. And I thought it was a little strange. It's much more active now. They've cleaned up a lot of the homeless people. That was my neighborhood. It's a very popular tourist destination for all over the world. And I was watching the video, and there's Venice Beach, and there's all the bohemians and the crazy people and the tourists and the shops, for pot shops, weed shops, souvenirs, t-shirts, pizza, french fries, hot dogs, all that kind of thing. And, the world capital of bodybuilding, Muscle Beach. And it was just another day on Venice Beach. And I'm used to that. And then I kind of went, huh? Who's that? And it's this fellow, his name is Ryan, and I evicted him about 9 months ago from my apartment. And I was hoping that I was the last I would ever see of the guy. I did know that he moved back into the neighborhood in Venice, but it was very, very weird to see over here this fellow who lived in my apartment right in the middle of the camera right hanging out with Rihanna, going right in front of her, front and back. It's just weird. So anyone there, if you're just living your life, okay, just imagine you're living your life and you put on one of your favorite YouTube channels and you see someone who pretty much destroyed your life, looking as though everything's just wonderful, and they just go right through the middle of your YouTube video. It just felt very strange. Also, the same channel, German in Venice, he did another video about all the homeless encampments in Los Angeles at a place called Echo Park. And there's lots of protests going on because the police are trying to empty the park for all these hundreds and hundreds of homeless people and stuff them into a hotel. Some people don't want to go. But anyway, it makes good YouTube videos for German in Venice. And there were all these protests. And then I looked closer again at the center of the protest, where they had the microphones and the podium and all the people and the cops around everywhere. And then I looked, oh my God, there's another one of my neighbors. And this neighbor is kind of very recognizable in Venice. He's very tall. He's got silver long hair, and he dresses in robes and leather jackets and women's clothing. And he's always got things like love and peace marked all over his jackets. Anyway, that felt weird too. Seeing complete... they're not strangers because I know these people, but it was very strange seeing them on a video, just random video. Hold on, Love Trevor. Can I treat Shatha to a mini reading? Yes. Yes. What's it pay you when I see you next? Well, I'm not quite sure what to do here, Love Triber, but let's put the message out to Sata Aldabas. Dear Sata, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Dear Sata, in America we would say Sh, Ata, but to me it sounds like it would be Sata, or Sata. Anyway, dear Sata, if you're still watching the channel, Love Triber is another viewer of the channel, and she is offering you a reading. A mini reading. Oh, I see what... Oh, wait a minute, I understand what you're doing. Thank you, Love Triber. So, I'm just clicking now. Basically, okay, let me say this again. Sata, Love Triber is offering to pay for you to have a mini reading. How about that? Would you like that? Are you still here, Sata? If you are still here, you will get basically a mini reading for free, a gift. Okay? So just let us in. Let me know. Type it in on the screen there, and we'll sort this out. AB. Hello, AB. This is TL. Thank you. Anyway, let's get over there. I need to do an astro doodle for the day to get myself sorted, okay? Now, I actually owe a reading to Mona Berknes over there in Norway, over in Oslo. So if you show up, Mona, and you're here, I've got your magic post-it note all ready to go. So just for heads up, Tarot Illumination is over here right now at this moment in Las Vegas, broadcasting across the world. Sata is over there in Jordan. Love Triber's back here. Ivona is up there near New Jersey. And Necessary Truth is up there by New York. Let's see who else is here. What do we got? Hold on, give me a second. Incognito, where are you? Give us a clue, Incognito. Necessary Truth donation for channel. I'll just put that there. Thank you, Necessary. Okay, super duper. Let's keep rolling. Very kind, thank you. I'll put that over on this side. All right, so that's as far as we've got. I was just trying to find out just by asking on the chat here. Happily ever after. I would love to know where you are. Happily ever after. I would love to know where incognito is located. We know where Ivona is. I'm not a spy or anything. I just like maps and locations and things like that. Okay. AB. Let's have a look. AB. Check in. Let us know where you are if you're still hanging out here, if you're still watching. All right. Oh, here's Bubba. Bubba, we're doing a show. And for whoever needs a reading. Okay, so we'll leave this as a mystery. Okay? And also, we're going to have another mystery donation from Love Triber. So I'm going to put that over here. Whoever gets that, that'll be fantastic. From, hold on, Bubba, stay there. Stay there a minute. Love Triber. Okay, so we're moving along here. Thank you very much. So we got 3 readings lined up. I don't know if Mona will be here, but at least we got 2 readings. AB is from the Netherlands. Okay, AB is currently watching from over here. Right over here. Thank you very much. This is planet Earth. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, incognito. All right. Okay, incognito. You've got it. You've got it. Thank you for letting me know. Otherwise, I would not have known. Incognito. What is manifesting for me in my career, and are there any blockages? Ooh, interesting. Career, question mark. Blockages, question mark. That's gonna do an abbreviated note here for you. Okay. Let's have a look. See where we are right now. I get a little bit confused sometimes when we do this stuff. Wow, we've got some very generous people here today. Thank you very much. So Necessary is donating to the channel, but effectively it's a reading for someone out there who really needs it. If there's someone who's like in dire need, or you're desperate, or you're very financially strapped, and you can't afford the $10 or $20 or $50 or whatever, then you might be a lucky one. I'll probably draw some magic post-it note shuffles and we'll do a shake-up, see who gets it. Incognito is over there in Texas, right over here. So I'm going to get back to the American map. I'm over here hanging out with Love Triber in Las Vegas. Incognito is somewhere incognito in Texas. Necessary Truth is up here around New York. Ivona is over there in New Jersey. So there we go. I think I got that all right. Happily ever after. Are you still there? What's this? Incognito. Hold on, I'm just checking with the notes. Somebody said, happily can have my donation reading. Is Shasta, if Shasta is not there? All right, well, let's see. Let's see what happens. If Shasta's not there, it looks like Shasta's already gone. Anyway, you know, because there's so many millions of YouTube channels now. Cheers, everybody. And happily ever after, they might have disappeared as well. I don't know. AB is still here. Incognito is still here. AB, I think, is still in the Netherlands. Incognito is Texas. And happily ever after seems to be gone. And seems to be gone as well. All right, no worries. Flip that over here. Let me move on. I'm going to do a astrodoodle for today. It looks quite different from a few days ago. The moon has moved on. So let's have a look over here. Let's see. You know what I might do? Oh, let's have a think. Oh, let me I'll just start it. Okay, see where we go. As most of you know, the moon is in Scorpio already. You know what? Forget that. Yep, they're gone. Okay, so forget that. Forget happily ever after, and we'll forget Sata. Hold on, this is not good. I'll turn it around this way, so I'll have a little bit more room. Okay, so I'm just doing a quick astrodoodle for the day to get tuned in, sort of, roughly. So this is Earth. It is 31st of March over here in America. Pacific Standard Time, 2021. Thank you from TL, and this is a TL Astro Doodle. In a way, I should be doing all this stuff, on my new little channel. I just haven't got round to it. I don't know why I'm so slow with these things. Aries. I'm just going to write it all out. If I was really smart, I'd get photocopies of these and just fill them out all ready to go. So I just haven't got that far yet. That's all. Taurus. Let's see. So bear with me. You can chat amongst yourselves, or I could put on some music or something. Let's have a look. Right now, Tarot Illumination is really not doing that other Wednesday thing we did anymore, where we were talking about my personal opinions about what's happening in the world because of the astrology and with the astrology. But it becomes so uncomfortable trying to moderate your words and your language so that you don't get shut down, that to me there's really no point in talking. So I'm waiting for some other situation to show up where I can just be Tarot Illumination and get on with it, There are some channels out there that deal with controversial subject matter that goes against the political, social justice dictates of you-know-who. And some of them are allowed to continue. But to me, some of the most valuable channels that I ever found on YouTube, they've all been blocked or shut down or demonetized. So that tells you something. Sagittarius. And Aquarius over here. I'm trying to be quick about this so we can get on with it. So let me I want to fill it all in here in such a way that hopefully it'll be very, very simple and understandable to people, and we can make decisions from there. So right now, as you know, the moon is over here in Scorpio. Okay? I track the moon very closely because I have to, because of the way my own personal chart is built. I have to watch the lunar patterns carefully because I'm so susceptible to that energy. We've got Pluto over here, 26 degrees Capricorn. And we have Jupiter and Saturn. Okay? So Saturn and Jupiter over here in Aquarius. And we have Mercury and Neptune conjoined over here in Pisces. We have a very, very painful Chiron and Aries over here next to the Sun, conjoined next to the Sun. And with Venus, all of these in Aries. the great disruptor, Uranus over here in Taurus, and Mars is in a very, let's say, like the position, like the energy of the agitator. That's what I would call it. And it's sitting right on top of the North Node in Gemini for the whole of planet Earth. So those are the very most basic things. I don't really know much about anymore the the fixed stars and the asteroids and all the mythological creatures out there. It's just complete overwhelming of information, so I'm not going to bother with it. I'm going to start today with the sweet stuff, because what we do have here in terms of sacred geometry, it's actually really beautiful. Okay, I like to think of it as geometry, and what we have is a strong trine over here. A trine is a very harmonious energy between the Scorpio-Pisces axis here and the Capricorn energy over here. It's a little stretch, but this is a grand trine, and this is a sextile, and a grand trine. You combine these together, it's very, very supportive piece of sacred geometry, of the way the planets work. And this is benevolent for everybody on Earth. Doesn't matter who you are or whatever. It's benevolent for everybody, especially if you have very significant aspects in Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces. Okay, it will. The benefits are multiplied. Now we have a second pattern identical to this, but in a different set of planets. Okay, so we've got the alignment between Saturn here and the North Node and Mars over here. It's very harmonious, very strong right now. And I'm not going to go into the super details of it, but it's harmonious and supportive. And that triggers very nice sextiles here, and the trine is here. So this is very harmonious energy over here between the Gemini-Aries axis and the Aquarius-Aries axis. So this is a very supportive piece of sacred geometry as it moves through time. Okay, and we're all affected by this. So if some of you are enjoying a bit of a release in pressure after some very, very intense pressure recently, I like to blame it on the planets. Just the way surfers watch their waves, and I watch the lunar cycles for the up and downs of the tides of people's emotions. That's the same thing I see here. This is basically astrologically very beautiful weather. Now, it doesn't live in isolation, because at the same time, as you know, I have the red marker. And there's a very harsh alignment between the Moon and Jupiter over here. And very harsh alignments between Saturn and Uranus over here. This one is going to be going on for much of 2021, on and off, in and out a little bit. And we still have a lingering, loose, nasty piece of work going on here between the Pisces-Gemini axis. So it's kind of a strong chart. It's kind of an intense chart at this moment in time. So you have a lot of sweet stuff going on, but you have a lot of very difficult stuff. These are very challenging. Okay, especially these two here, because they're dealing with our physical reality. This one is very much to do what I see as severe, harsh changes and lessons in global economics, global finance, eruptions, very, very eruptive, very, very disruptive energy that is ultimately going to be good for the planet, but is, while it's happening, it can feel very, very bumpy and very disturbing, and which is me. I'm getting all of that, okay? Okay, so, and this one over here, this aspect over here, we've talked about this for many months now, and it's still with us. This is the aspect between the Neptunian Pisces energy here and the Gemini North Node energy here. It's very much to do with what we experience in our lives, in our world around us, as fake versus real. In other words, fake news versus real news. Fake money versus real money. Fake politics versus real politics. All of it in the way that it is expressed and communicated and shared between humanity through what you might call the media. Let's say Gemini represents global communications. It's ruled by Mercury, and so we're also discussing global commerce because Mercury presides over global commerce, basically the moving of money, the exchange of contracts and deals, and doing a Venmo payment or a PayPal payment or receiving a payment or going to a convenience store and buying some potato chips. All of those are transactions. But there's a lot of very bogus stuff because transactions happen at the very highest level of global economics too, with the big central banks exchanging with the big central banks, and so on and so on. And what I see here is tremendous amount of deception, betrayal, lies, deceit, fraud that's happening in the global world of financial transactions, and that would be extrapolated to currency wars. And when you have this axis here, which is also heavily related to global finances, there's a lot of conflict there as well. So if anybody wants to talk about that stuff personally in private, we can do that, but it means setting up meetings and all that sort of things. But for now, I just wanted to give you a very broad overview. Now, this applies to everybody, okay? But it could be anywhere for you. Like, for example, if you're a very prominent, let's say you have Libra rising, the chart would look like this for you. This would sit on top of your chart in this way. And you would look for significant things that match up for you. For example, there's a tremendous cluster of Aries energy right now in your 7th house, okay? Let's say that you're a Cancerian type of, sun, moon, and rising. There's a tremendous amount of pressure over here in the 7th house. A lot of pressure in the 8th house to do with other people's money. That's like taxes, inheritance, and let's say deep financial commitments between yourself and other significant parties, at the level of government, or even if it's just if you owe somebody $20 or something, and so on. Gemini, it looks like this. So all of these are happening live right now, and they're impacting each and every one of us in our own special ways. I am heavily impacted by this personally because I have a lot of trigger points here. So there we go. I will reference this into the readings most likely. So at the moment, let me look what I've got here. I don't think I see any super chats on the screen. Oh, yes, I do. There's a $9.99 super chat. Okay, that's the one from Necessary Truth. So let me scroll back. I'm scrolling back through the chat just to make sure. Yeah. Okay, so we've got Necessary Truth up. And that's going to be, we're going to donate that to somebody out here watching today who really, really needs a reading. Next, Incognito is already paid up through the Illumination portal, PayPal, so on. Love Triber is also sponsoring a reading. Well, this is a very kind, generous, I guess you could say Aquarian day. All this, generosity to humanity. I'll put Mona over here in case Mona shows up. She'll get a reading. I'll toss this one away. So let's see where we are right now. Let me go over here. Give me a second. I just want to check in with you guys. Okay, there we are. All right, so looks like we've got 3 readings lined up. Incognito, we know. All right. Before we do that, we need to give a lucky dip for whoever is going to win the reading for Necessary Truth. So the way I like to do this, I've done these things before in the past, years ago, when I had a very buoyant, lively, active channel. Who is out there watching, even if you haven't typed in yet, who is out there watching who feels that they desperately need a mini reading? And you've never done it before, especially, or if you're really broke and you'd be glad to have a reading sponsored for you, please type in the screen and you will get a magic post-it note. Okay, what'll happen then, I mean, it's like right now it's a very small show. The audience is very, very tiny, so I don't even know who's watching. But there's a handful of us. Some of us know each other well from previous shows and events and readings and so on. But what I'm trying to hint at is that this reading is up for grabs. So I guess basically what I'm saying is I dare you, okay? Hello, Jeffrey. Greetings. Jeffrey's over there in Texas too. Hello, Texas. So, let me put this in the hat. So, I've got a couple open spots here, already bought and paid for by some very kind, generous people. Necessary Truth has offered one. Love Triber's offered one. So, let me see if, as you know, I'm kind of like biased towards the newbies in these kind of situations. I've got your note there, Jeffrey. Don't worry, I see that. Let's have a look. So what I'm going to do here is, okay, here we go. Let's do this. Say, okay. How did everything work out with the two peeps? We don't know yet. Necessary Truths. Okay. Okay. So in the past, when I used to do lots of videos and lots of monthly readings for all the signs, sun, moon, and rising, I also did videos for, lucky draws and super chat draws and things like that. I haven't done it much in a long time right now, so my audience level is really tiny at the moment. But if there are people out there watching right now and you've never done this before and you'd like to dive in, and you feel that you deserve a mini reading, please type it in and let us know, and we'll go from there. All right? I think there's only about 6 or 8 or 10 people here at the moment. Yeah. Okay, it's very tiny. Okay. All right, no worries. See, one of the things about this channel is that it doesn't really send out any notifications anymore, except maybe up to 50 people, maybe 90 or something like that. And that's how it is now. Let's have a look. All right, you know what I could do? I could just start with incognito, and we'll just let some of the newbies show up. Okay, and then we'll kind of go from there. So let's have a look. I'm going to do it this way, I think. Yeah, okay. So we'll start with incognito, and then we will keep an eye on the screen to see who shows up and gets lucky with a free mini reading. Alright, I gotta make some space here. I'm going to refer back to this in a little bit, but for the time being I'm going to open this up and I'm going to get a deck. And we'll start the shuffle. Oh, by the way, I was just thinking about it. I wouldn't be surprised if I start doing little shows. Like this channel that I was thinking of starting. It's called The Daily Transit. And we would do this like every day, for 20 minutes or something. And I would just pull out the charts for the day and maybe offer somebody one reading. We could do something like that. But again, you have to have your channel has to be very healthy to be doing these things. So I'll work on that down the road. But I like to call it sacred geometry. A few days ago on the 28th, we had this alignment when the moon was in Libra. Remember that? And we talked about the big fat kite and the big heavy opposition here and the squares over here. And the big yod over here. For myself, this was very, very stressful, even with all the sweet green stuff here. Now, the moon, you can see here, the moon has moved on roughly a whole sign. The moon has moved from here to here, and you can see how the geometry changes. There's certain aspects that are still very similar, but that big green triangle is gone, and now we have this. Happily ever after. You're here. Aha! You are here. Okay. So, dear Happily, I think if you scroll back through the chat, dear Happily, hold on, let me just check this, double check this. If you scroll back through the chat, I believe that Love Triber offered a reading for you. Is that correct? I'd love to see it on the chat screen. I just want to affirm it, because what I understand is that Love Triber offered a reading. Okay, let me go back over here. Love Triber donated, and I think Love Triber said, yes, these live streams can be very heavily delayed by minutes, sometimes several minutes. So we're going to read for Incognito very, very shortly, okay? But I just want to get the rest of the things lined up. So Happily Ever After, as far as I can remember on the chat, Love Triber, if you look back to the chat, Love Triber offered to cover a reading for you, if I'm correct. Aha, I see it on the screen. Got it. So that's it. So in fact, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to get a reading from Love Triber to Happily Ever After. There we go. Happily Ever After. Just so that you know, it happens quite frequently on this show, where people sponsor other people just out of kindness. Just like pay it forward. And then after that, Necessary Truth. It might end up being Jeffrey. Who knows? Let's have a look. So, I'm just going to leave Mona over there for now, just in case she shows up. But let's get on with it, people. All right, so. All right, I'm going to put the ephemeris aside over here for a second. Sorry, I'm talking to myself now as I get set up for the readings. I got to put the markers away because they're taking up too much room. And then we're going to shuffle up. Okay, Incognito. We're talking about questions about your career and questions about, are there any blockages to career going forward? Let's have a look here. Cards are already shuffled well in advance from the last readings, whenever they were, with whoever they were. And I'm just going to shuffle it again in front of you live so that you're a witness, okay? You're not getting anything old or stale in terms of the shuffled deck here. I haven't used one of my older decks in a long time because it's still an amazing deck. It's the most basic you can get. And it's done thousands of readings, but I'm trying to give it a rest for a while so we can spread the load between other decks, okay? Let's have a look here. All right, Incognito, brace yourself. You may want to sit on your hands. You might want to close off all other distractions. Sometimes it's like, sometimes I get these sort of intuitive feelings, I guess, about the person or the reading itself. But to me, this feels actually like it's actually pretty important for you, Incognito. And we need to pay attention here. I'm working with, just imagine you're right here in the studio with me. I'm here and you're there, and we're working face to face, okay? I do face-to-face live readings in person as well, by the way. I do it through my Zoom systems, but I also do it live in person. If anybody wants to show up in Las Vegas, we could do that. JamXO. Hey JamXO, this is one of these donation shows where people buy mini readings. I've got, Mona's already bought one. I owe her one, but she's not here right now. We're going to just start with Incognito. After that, we've got Happily Ever After. After that, we've got Necessary Truth, who sponsored someone. It might be Jeffrey. And if you would like a reading, a mini reading, you can go to the Super Chat button, which is exactly under where you typed. And it pops up a little window. It's like a, online digital payment processor, like when you do online shopping and you enter your debit card in there or whatever. You can also do PayPal directly to the email, alittlebookabout@yahoo.com, or you can go over to the basic tarotlumination.com website and find the donate page and press the yellow button, and it does the same thing as the super chats. But the beauty of direct payments to my PayPal through your whatever, your debit card or PayPal or whatever, is that I keep the donation, because when you do the super chat, it goes 30% roughly goes to YouTube. All right, it looks like Jeffrey and Necessary have cemented the agreement here, so I'm just going to mark this as Jeffrey's reading here. Okay. So we've got Incognito, Happily Ever After, Jeffrey, and we might have someone else. JamXO. Hello, Sarah. I see you. Hey, Sarah. We've worked together a few times before. I might be getting you confused with someone else, but aren't you the one who's involved in real estate in like near San Bernardino in California? Something like that? I can't remember. Sorry if I got it wrong, but it just kind of popped up in my head. All right, give me a second. I'm just going to get some water because it's thirsty work here. Okay. Coffee doesn't cut it for these things. All right, here we go. All right, concentrate, folks. Concentration, please. Sorry about the distractions there, Incognito. Wow. I'm feeling like you're actually quite an intense person, and I deal with this sometimes because I have to be careful. I have certain aspects where I'm constantly reminded that energy flows where attention goes. It's laws of nature and physics, okay? And to me it feels like you're kind of like, I'm sensing it from your eyes more than anything else, your physiology. It reminds me of little Bubba the cat who lives here. Little Bubba the cat is very tuned in to me, and and also, well, he's just tuned in. He's just a cool cat. And well, this is how it looks to me, because let's pretend I'm Bubba the cat. Bubba is very alert. He's super, super ultra sensitive. His hearing and sense of smell and eyesight and bodily intuition are very powerful. And like most cats that I've seen, when he looks at something, he has to look directly like this. And this is what he looks like a lot of the time when he's not sure what's going on. And sometimes he's like this. It depends. He's very expressive. But what I'm saying, most of it I notice from the eyes, because with the cats, it seems like if they want to look over there, they do this. Or this. But they don't seem to do this with their eyes. Like, they don't seem to have a lot of eye movement. So what I'm sensing here is that because I sensed, for some reason, I don't know why, Incognito. Sarah, you're in Canada. Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. disconnect. What I'm sensing incognito is something to do with your vision, your eyesight, where, I mean, eyesight's important for all of us. We process and absorb so much information through eyesight. But what I'm sensing is that your eyesight is, let's say, a little bit more like hypercritical for you. And like wherever your eyesight is pointed, that's where all your energy goes at that moment in time. So I don't know what kind of career you're in, but if it involves intense focus and alertness, that would be appropriate for you. You don't have to tell us anything, okay? I'm just telling you something that I picked up here, that it's like someone who takes things very seriously. When they look at something, they look at it very seriously in order to absorb it and understand it, in order to figure it out and how to relate with it, whatever it is, a document, a person, a concept, a television show, a pet, a loved one, whatever that is, okay? It's a very strange thing. I just pick up all sorts of bizarre things every now and again. I just wanted to preface your reading with that because I'm just settling in with the readings. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. We'll see. Okay, so you're ready. Okay, I'm ready now too. Thank you, incognito. Wow, it's really like I can almost feel the movement, the eye movement or something. It's a really strange sensation that I'm getting here. All right, let's have a look. So what kind of messages do we have here today for incognito regarding her concerns about career and potential blockages in career? I'm just going to go blind now, see what happens. Well, that's not blind reading. We know what we're talking about here. All right, let's just cut it up. I'm using the Tarot Lumination Situational Spread. It's very simple, but it's very broad spectrum diagnostics, so that helps. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And now we're focusing on the subject of what we call career. Let's have a look at the surrounding weather. I'm going to relate this to the astrodoodle in a moment. So we've got the Knight of Cups. So this looks very complimentary, very supportive energy. Looks like it's very reciprocal energy, and the way I would describe it is something like this. Dear incognito, so long as your heart, soul, core center is in alignment with your career path, then the energy will flow very sweetly. It will be infused literally with the healing power of love. Okay? I don't know if you're going to be involved in the healing arts in any way, shape, or form. You don't have to be, but when I see this in the context of career, it looks to me like it could be something to do with guidance or some way for helping other people. And I don't want to try and define the career thing, but with the Knight of Cups, let's just say this sort of represents the Knight of Cups. To me, it indicates that your career aspirations are very well chosen and extremely appropriate for you. And it's good to stay in alignment with that, and you're being very heavily supported at this very moment in time regarding the subject of career. And yet, we have to allow that there's always challenges, okay? Especially if you're dealing with people at the core of their heart being. Allow for these little red squiggles here to indicate that it's like if you waver, if your body, mind, heart, and soul and spirit energy wavers off path in such a way that's inappropriate for you, then the benevolent, natural forces of energy start to lose their use for you. It's very much like the energy of surfing. I'm not saying this guy's a surfer here, okay? So Oh, it says here, you focus a lot on computers all day with details. Okay, so that might be why I was sensing so much, something to do with your eyes and having intense focus. Okay? So, to me, it looks like, regarding career, so long as, I'm just repeating myself now, so long as your core heart center, let me do it this way, sorry, let's just do it like this. So long as your core heart center from here has a very clear, direct, like, flow or pathway, connection to your career or your career aspirations, then essentially it's like having the healing power of love flowing through you in whatever context. Whether you're doing research or administration or development or science, or it doesn't matter what it is infused with the healing power of love, okay? So it seems to have some kind of natural benevolence that infuses the career. So long as you stay in alignment, and it's something to do with your focus of energy. If things get just slightly off track, if they're not really aligned with this intense purity that I'm sensing here, then it's almost like the energy of a nozzle of a hose, like a fireman's hose. Okay, to me it feels like, regarding your career, you have a lot to offer, and there is a lot that is like in alignment with you, whatever your career aspirations are. But it involves a strong flow of energy, benevolent, loving type of energy to go with it, in ways that are mutually reciprocal and beneficial for you and the other parties involved in the career aspect. But the thing is that, think of a fireman's hose, very high pressure, very powerful pressure, a lot of flow of energy, and it's for benevolent reasons. You misdirect that flow. You've seen what happens when you take a very powerful hose and you do with it whatever you're supposed to do, but you kind of get distracted and you go like, huh? And it goes over there. It can be very problematic. Okay, that's kind of what I'm trying to describe here. Okay. Work on computers all day with details. Okay, let's have a look. What's the situation itself? Okay, we have more cops and more benevolence. To me, it feels like this is almost like it's time to celebrate celebrate like a girls' night. I mean, it sounds so obvious, like a girls' night out. This is the Three of Cups. And this would be, to me, it feels like the energy of benevolence is magnified when you feel it in your heart that you are in the right place at the right time for the right reasons with the right people when it comes to career. And it's important that you keep this vibration going, like, so that it always feels not like it's like a drunken orgy party type of energy, but much more an energy of shared benevolence. Like, you are in alignment with a career path of some kind, and this career path is in alignment with you. It's something to celebrate in terms of, well, it sounds like you're female, and it would be like, it just looks very beneficial and celebratory. I don't know if you're working with partners or part of a team where they would be glad to have you and you would be glad to be with them. A mutually harmonious, very mutually beneficial type of relationship situation. So, questions about the career. What do we see here? Well, we see benevolence and goodness and wholesomeness, but we have to also take into account the things that I was describing earlier that I can only see here are the charts or feel through my own intuition here. What's the challenge with the situation? Okay, so we've got the Queen of Swords here. So if you're in an awkward situation where you're talking about a career change, where you have to divorce yourself from one career path in order to tap into the benevolence of an alternate or a new career path, that could be very difficult for you. And no matter how appealing the new career or the career path might be, and no matter how comfortable you might be already, the idea, what it seems to me here is that it's an either or situation. Either you like stay who you are, how you are, where you are, and you keep growing and expanding in that career path, which starts to look like new levels in a career path, or you have to say goodbye to one career path and separate from that and then move towards the new one. So you have a very difficult choice there. So also with the Queen of Swords here, this might go back to some of the notes you were talking about earlier about intense concentration on details regarding research. Part of it feels to me like you might be sick of that up to some point, and you would like to separate yourself from that, even though you might be very good at it. But that's a problem, especially if you're already good at who you are and what you do, but you're yearning or pining, or your heart is telling you to think somewhere else, go somewhere else. Also, with the Queen of Swords energy here, there's really no room for bullshit anywhere in your life, your career, or anything like that. So precision is really, really important for you. And if you don't know, if you are feeling uncertain, that kind of messes up your good, sweet vibes here. So the energy of certainty is really important for you. You have to have certainty in who you are and what you're doing in order for you to be optimized and living your best life regarding career. The blockage, I'm looking at this question of blockage, that was your word, regarding career path. To me it looks like the big problem is separation. Nikki, Necessary Truth just said cutting through the bullshit, but also cutting ties with anything that you, in other words, it's almost like you're not allowed to do anything, from the spiritual perspective, that is out of alignment with your heart, core, soul energy. And so if you're feeling that you're in a situation, if you're looking for a new career path, and it would mean having to separate from one that maybe you love it already, but you're being called over here, that's a problem. Or maybe there's another aspect where you're sick of having to do all the refinement and processing and whatever kind of research you do, where you're constantly having to sift through information, I guess, for positive affirmations of this and negative affirmations of that, whatever that looks like, okay? Okay, let's have a look moving forward. Okay, to me it looks like there is some kind of major separation going on here. No matter how uncomfortable it might be when I'm seeing the Judgment card here, it's about liberation. It's about freedom for you. The way to go forward is basically doing some kind of almost like ritual, ceremonial releasing of the past. It might be very difficult for you to do in order to move on. But the way to access new career or better career paths, and the way to, let's say, deal with any blockages, is to have the courage to separate yourself from anything and everything that is no longer in alignment with your heart soul energy, for you to be really operational, fully functional, from the most loving aspect of yourself possible, and then going forward. So if you're in a situation where the reality is it's actually very difficult to cut the ties in order to move from position A to position B, or an existing career to an alternate career, the only way you can do it is look at it and understand it and accept it and say, yes, it is very difficult. It might be very difficult, or I'm really, really struggling, however you want to deal with it. It looks like you're in a position where you're personally not ready, willing, or able to tolerate any more bullshit in your life, and you're not willing to tolerate any kind of bullshit when it comes to career anymore, so that in order to move on, you have to. It doesn't look like there's any kind of compromise here. There's no middle ground. It looks like you're going to have to make some very firm decisions to liberate yourself from whatever is obstructing you, which could be bullshit or limitations or things that are no longer appropriate for you or healthy for you in the career path, and you're just going to literally have to cut ties. Divorce. I divorce you. You say to the other or the alternate or the existing career path, that if you've got one that's not working. And in so doing, you liberate yourself. And when you do that self-liberation, it's a very powerful self-healing act. And all of a sudden, the blockage disappears because you dissolved it through your own choices, through your own will. And you released yourself to be completely free to start again, uninhibited, in some kind of new career path. So it does look like it's very black and white. Either you're in or you're out. Something like that. Let's just say, for example, you do make really tough decisions to, say goodbye to something, say hello to something, and you go through the decision-making process. It's ultimately about liberation, ultimately about freeing your body, mind, heart, and soul. Basically, to start like a whole new universe awaits you. Well, not a universe, but, new perspectives to life and the world and everything. So when I look at this, the benevolence here is very strong. Here, here, and here. The challenge is very strong. Here and here. No bullshit allowed. You got to think of the financial implications too, okay? It very much you have to do whatever's in your heart. That it has to line up with your heart energy. And that will happen, I believe. I believe that will happen. Oh, it looks like you've already cut the ties. Bam. It's hard to do that. Especially for people who have, who live big, grand lives, So that's your reading there. If you need to see more, you can do a rewind or whatever. But I've seen this happen to people I know where they've had a really good career in a certain way, and then something out of the blue changes that. They change inside themselves, or something external changes, and all of a sudden they're faced with these shocks, like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Especially if you're the sort of person who identifies themselves very closely in alignment with their career. Like if somebody said, who are you? And you said, well, actually, I'm a very kind, loving person, and I like to do things that are full of benevolence and have meaning and purpose from the heart of my soul. Someone would look at you and kind of go, okay, that's fine. That's right. But someone else could say, oh, well, who are you again? And you might say, oh, I'm a research scientist. And then they go, oh, yeah, I can understand that. That sounds like a career or a job or something that people do. Guys especially are heavily, like, sort of self-identified with what you call career. But women are too. Anyway, just wanted to make that point. Let me go back here. So if you've already cut ties and you're looking at new beginnings, to me it looks really sweet. Whatever it is you end up doing, however you may go, the most important thing is that you do something where it feels very, very tightly, closely aligned with your deepest core, heart, soul energy, like we were sensing at the beginning of the reading, okay? And then go forward from there. And also please check in and keep us informed, over the rest of the year or something. Let us know how this goes, how this reading pertains to your career path over the rest of the year. I'd love to know. So please stay in touch, okay, Incognito? Thank you very much. next up, we're going to do Happily Ever After. So I'm kind of assuming you're still here because you're going to get a reading. By the way, incognito, you need to be aware that you're in the presence of some very powerful psychic type people here. Necessary Truth has a sort of a natural gift with, what would you call it, Necessary Truth? What would you call it? It's a form of reading, okay? Remote viewing, things like that. Also, there's another one here. Love Triber is a very specialized reader as well. So, incognito, you're in a really good place. You're with some really good people. Healers helping healers. I'm a sort of a healer type, and I help a lot of healers when they do burnouts and things like that, okay? So, Necessary Truth, was more precise. Spirit communication. That's a better way to describe it. Thank you. So, incognito, if you see tangential notes coming at you in the chat from other people in the chat, remember that there are other people in the chat who are highly psychic, highly loving, caring, spiritual healer type people, readers and so on. So just so that you're aware. Same message applies for you, Happily Ever After. You're surrounded by benevolence right now. You're swimming in an ocean of love. So you're in the right place at the right time for the right reasons. I'm going to shuffle up, okay, happily? I'll put Jeffrey's up here. Alright, so Happily Ever After, you've seen sort of what happens here. It's different for every person, for every reading, but right now, I don't see a lot of notes from you, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish shuffling in a second. I'm going to do a blind reading. So anything and everything can come up. But if you're really like seriously off in the dumps about something, or very confused or concerned about a particular word, you can write something on the chat, maybe just one word. What messages, for example, do you have for me today, TL, regarding the subject of ... And that could be, health, spiritual evolution, spiritual blockages, finance, home, family, pets, children, whatever it is. So I'm just letting you know in advance. Oh, I just saw your notes. So this just says there, Happily Ever After. I do have 2 medical qualification exams booked for September. Oh, wow. I would like to see whatever will be predicted with that regard, how you see me progressing. Okay. Thank you, Necessary. I see that now. Got it. Wow, medical qualifications. So we have another healer type person here. This channel is heavily dominated by healer types. All right, let's have a look here. What kind of messages do we have here for Happily Ever After regarding her impending medical exams? It's a big deal. Cards are shuffled, nicely shuffled. We're just going to use the same old spread. Diagnostics. Let's have a look at this. Okay. Oh. Happily Ever After. Are you surrounded by flowers or anything floral at this moment in time? Maybe a fabric or a garden or a yard or something something beautiful to do with flowers or plants? Are you? If you could let me know, I'd like to. I'd like to know. Thank you. And here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Necessary is RN, registered nurse or vet, internship on the table too. Interesting. Okay, let's have a look here. So we've got the Three of Wands, which is very appropriate for this reading, because this is very much about literally gazing into the crystal ball of the future that was presented by the Two of Wands in life earlier on. So you've already planted your seeds. Life is in the flow, okay? Life is... Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, that may... Happily ever after. Thank you. Thank you for being so precise and responding, because I've picked up a very powerful impression of the flower imprints type of thing. So that makes sense to me. It makes me feel like I'm not insane. Okay, so with the Three of Wands here, this looks very encouraging, very positive, very affirmative to me, in that you are reaping what you sow. You are seeing the fruits of your labors. You're seeing karma play out. Like if you had made decisions quite some time ago to focus on a medical career job, and where it requires exams, okay, and so on. It looks like you made some really good decisions in life earlier, and it sounds like it's very appropriate for you, and you are inevitably going to see the results, most likely that you deserve, in a very pragmatic, orderly way that makes total sense. You've obviously done the work. My feeling is that you already know you're going to qualify, and that you're going to go forward on this path, but it's just not you're there yet. You're starting to see glimpses. This is a very futuristic type of energy here, but seeing the future come to you after the seeds of the future have already been planted, okay? Happily ever after is going for cardiology. Wow, let's have a look. Okay, here's the situation. Okay, it looks like what we are talking about here is absolute mastery. Absolute command and control, passionate, unequivocal, very much in your face, aura energy of mastery of your craft, your skill. So if you're already on the path to be a cardiologist, and you're on that path, this indicates to me that you're kind of already pre-qualified, and you're just living through the process of being qualified, and it is an inevitable outcome for you. Of course, you got to do your exams and everything, but what this looks like to me is that you're radiating. The situation is that you're already radiating the energy of supreme mastery in your chosen field, where your actions speak for you. In other words, it's okay. Let me go like this. Give me a second. In other words, to me, it feels like some of the energy that I feel from my sister. My sister is an incredible woman, very highly qualified veterinarian doctor. She has so many letters after her name, you can't spell it. And she knew when she was 9 years old that she was going to be a veterinarian doctor. She didn't have to think. She just went and did it. She was on that path, and she did it. And she was a top-of-the-line expert in her field. I'm getting exactly the same energy for you. Like, it's almost like my sister, it was very commanding, very capable in her world and she was highly regarded and well trusted, and that's because actions speak louder than words. In other words, the way you're heading, let's say you're this qualified cardiologist, short-term, long-term, whenever it is, you get there, it isn't because you're so cool, I'm a cardiologist, thank you very much. No, it's not that at all. It's because your actions speak for you. In other words, just having a really good reputation because of your work. Give me a second, I'll be right there. Excuse me for stepping out just for a second there. I had to take care of something here in the house. Okay. So the situation, excuse me, let me get back to it with you now, okay, happily. So some people, like my sister, you might be something similar vibration, where they have almost like a charmed life. My sister was bulletproof from 9 years old. She excelled. She worked very hard, went through so many years of training and certifications and study and research to be the person that she is today. And she was highly recognized by her peers. So that's what I'm sensing for you, something very similar. And you have that aura, and it needs to be acknowledged. I think the card, the King of Wands, is sitting there more or less to reflect back to you something that you need to know. You need affirmation. It makes me feel like you just needed to hear it from someone, a complete stranger to our illumination, who has no clue about you and your life or anything besides what we've sensed here. But as you can tell on this show, on this channel, we kind of do things that they do with James Von Prague and what's his name? John, all those famous psychic readers. We do sense this is happening live in real time. I'm not speaking with the dead or anything. We're actually getting psychic communications in real time between myself, your reader, and yourself, the client. So happily, you needed to see this. You needed to see this to have it reflected back to you, to have a very powerful affirmation that you are on the right path at the right reasons. You did set out in the right way. You're starting to see it unfold in front of you. It's almost like saying your destiny is coming at you. But you need to be just a little bit of affirmation because you're not in September yet. You haven't done your exams yet. But my feeling here is you just needed a reminder that you will prevail. It'll be I don't know how they score these tests or anything, but you're going to do well and your actions will speak for you. In other words, to be able to do those tests, you have to have a very clean, pure academic kind of nature that allows you to function very well in a very high pressure testing environment that exists in the academic world and the medical world. A lot of it is very academic. You have to have a certain type of brain. I wanted to be a doctor, or at least my family did, because I had this kind of soft, mushy, caring nature. But I had so many problems as a child that never happened, as you can tell. So, what's the problem here? I'm not seeing too many problems, but you have to be aware of the challenges. Okay, so with the Tower, to me it feels that there's like this absolute shock. Part of it, to me it feels like multiple layers. There's this like absolute terror or fear, deep-seated fear, like what happens if I fail? What happens if I screw up on my exams? This looks like a very intense type of reading where like these energies are highly contradictory. Like you needed to know and have affirmation that you are awesome and you are, like, it looks like your heart is in it, and that, let's say the exams go well, then you would be well qualified in your field and your actions would speak for you and the accolades would come to you simply because of your actions. You don't have to force anything. When you look at the tower, it's like, well, what if it doesn't work? Ah! Absolute shocking, life-changing, my God, everything implodes. Like, I don't see that. I don't really see that. I mean, if you do have even the slightest fear that you might fail or you might not succeed or prevail, that one tiny seed or of fearful thought could easily be amplified into blind panic attack, shock, terror, like what happens if I fail? Also, there's another implication here. This is a little bit deeper and more farther reaching. What happens if I succeed? It's very rare I talk about that subject, but there is such a thing as fear of success. What happens if I succeed? It's going to change my whole life, because instead of being happily ever after, the person you are right now, with aspirations and a good heart and good energy, good seeds planted, and an affirmation that you're a natural and your actions will speak for you. And if you are, if you're one of those people who has their complete life welded to their career, like my sister, her whole life was being a veterinarian, if you didn't know her. In fact, she also became a mother of 2 children, and she married a fellow. And she lives a completely different life now, but she was known as a vet. When I hang out with her or her friends, they didn't talk about animals and veterinarian. They did fun things, like things that they love to do. The thing is that, like, if with yourself, if you have so much vested into this thing that you just knew, I know I'm going to be this doctor. I'm going to be doing these exams. My actions are going to speak for me going forward in life, and it's going to change everything. Let's just say you do have a good time in September. You get all the exams go well and everything. You get super qualified, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa, this is what I've been wanting for so long, and now I'm actually here. What does this mean now? It means now everyone will look at you as, oh, there's happily ever after, the cardiologist. And everybody, like in the English language, cardiologist usually describes someone who's extremely capable of doing some very, very challenging things, like heart surgery, open heart surgery, and all the other complicated things that concern the heart. And so you naturally, if you're introduced at a party or a club or a restaurant somewhere new, and you have to say, oh, here's my card, blah, 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 happily ever after, cardiologist. When they see cardiologist on there, that's a big deal. Okay? Cardiologists keep people alive. And then it can also profoundly change your life, because then your whole life becomes happily ever after the cardiologist. So sometimes careers take over things like marriage and love and relationships and families and everything like that. Sometimes people are scared of that. But there is a way to find a middle ground. You can be successful. You can grow and prosper and stay on path. And then you can switch the dial, like, okay, I just did a 12-hour shift at the hospital. I did a surgery. I went back. And it's the weekend. And you can just goof off. You don't have to be on like 24/7, alert like a first responder. You can actually have a life, but cardiologists, here's another aspect. Cardiologists, as far as I know, in America, if you're up there, especially top of the line, you get very well paid, because cardiologists are highly appreciated by people who need a cardiologist. And making a lot of money and being paid very well for being who you are and doing what you do can be profoundly life-changing. If you're, let's say, one of these brainiac students, you came up through without having, you're not a trust fund baby, and you had to take on, say, a lot of college debt, or decades of debt for tuition, and the debt has to be paid back. All those kind of things. Those are like side effects of being a highly qualified cardiologist. I've known a couple of doctors in my life, and some of them, like the one who's taking care of me, one of them, it was like an 8 or 10, 11 year passage for him to get where he is. And now he's very well paid, but, it consumes his whole life. And we would talk about that sometime, like I'm this doctor. And then he looks at his other life around there like, my God, what would happen to my wife and kids, like, if I disappeared? It's life-changing. Him being a very successful, well-paid doctor impacts his loved ones, his immediate loved ones, okay? And that can be a profound thing to handle. In other words, like, you get home at the end of the day and somebody realizes, oh, look, the cardiologist got back home. Whose life did you save today, okay? And sometimes it can be kind of shocking, but the Tower card isn't always chaos and disaster. It's one of the most powerful healing cards in the deck, because it just obliterates anything and everything that is in the way of your evolution. So it can be fear of change, fear of evolution, fear of outcome. But yeah, it would be perfectly appropriate for you to have very profound fear of what happens if this doesn't work. It's also fear of success. God, what happens to me if this does work? Oh my God. That's a big freaking deal. Okay, how are we going to deal with all of this? It's kind of extreme. We got the Queen of Wands here. Okay, this is going to sound a little bit cheesy, the way I'm going to interpret it. Have you ever heard of Lady Di? She was kind of famous in the 80s and 90s as the wife of the Prince Charles of England. So when I look at the Queen of Wands here, let me just show you again. The way to handle your situation is, it's almost to understand, like, there's no cup cards here like the other career reading, but you're highly blessed, highly capable, and there's a lot of energy with these wands of inspiration here. So the way I look at it is, in fact, I see it on the chat, you're using the word inspirational. The way I see it, the way to handle your situation is kind of with this sublime, what's the word? Sublime humility, where you're already infused with this energy of being this doctor cardiologist. If you're already, involved in medicine, training and everything for medicine, healthcare, and you're just going to the next level, which would be a fully certified cardiologist, which takes a long time and a lot of it time, investment, and money and everything. And you get to that point in the career, it's a big deal career. Just Google it online. How many fully licensed, registered cardiologists are there in the United States? Let's think about it. And so my feeling when I look at the Queen of Wands here, instead of looking at it like you looking in the mirror like, oh, what is this? Wow, I'm a cardiologist. I'm happily ever after, and I'm a cardiologist, and wow, they're going to pay me well, and I'm going to have huge responsibilities. I'm protected by the insurance companies. Hospitals want me, and it's great. But it's almost like, I don't think you're going to have ego issues here, but I've seen doctors, I know it because of a friend of mine who's very high up in medicine. Like, sometimes being a really high power prestige doctor goes to their head, and they turn into these megalomaniacs. That's not going to happen to you. I don't see that there at all. But what I sense is like you handling your own amazing awesomeness. How do you do that? Right now, at this very moment in time, you might be terrified of your own awesomeness and the implications. But also, what happens if I'm not the awesomeness that I know I am? And so the way to handle it is just like Tarot Illumination says, calm down, happily ever after. It's going to be okay. I'm sure you'll get out affirmation from everyone else here in the chat that you're going to be just fine, okay? And the real question is like, oh, how do I go forward? So I'm going to use the Lady Diana analogy because that's the nearest one I can think of, and I'm from that kind of generation. So it's like Lady Di was born into privilege. She was very smart. She was like a cover girl for royalty. She had access to infinite amounts of money, but none of that went to her head. It was all about her station in society, her position in society, and she realized that she had huge responsibilities, that she was divinely blessed to be this person, and it was a profound realization. It was like shock for her when she realized how much power she had. And she could have abused that power very easily, but instead she channeled this power for mass global healing, mass benevolence. She was like a massive funnel, fire hose for the healing power of love. I mean, she wasn't a cardiologist, and she didn't lay hands on people or anything, but just her being her allowed the healing power of love to move through her like a healing force. And it requires complete, utter humility and surrender to the healing power of love, where your life, your egoic life as happily ever after, is meaningless and irrelevant now. And what counts is your life as being the great benevolent healer. And that's where the real satisfaction comes from being that inspirational healer, where the healing power of love is being transmitted through your hands. Understand, from my perspective on this channel, our hands are holy. You, dear happily ever after future cardiologist, your hands are holy. You're the one who's going to use all your brain power to operate the computers and the technology that does all the laser this and the robotic surgery that. And then you have to have, a team of people around you. You're going to be highly respected. It's a huge deal. But you're going to do it with the grace and the humility and the incredible healing power of love, just in the way that Lady Di did with her life. She was just literally a freaking fire hose spreading the healing power of love all over the world, okay? And that's how you deal with it. You get to the point where you surrender. You surrender your whole life to being a healer. Okay. Okay, so I hope that made sense for you. That's your reading. I'm going to switch over here. We got another reading to do. So, there you go. Happily ever after. I hope that helped you. It's just a question of it's almost like looking in the mirror here. So, you're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine, but just understand that you're being, you carry a very bright light. And it's not for self-aggrandizement. It's literally to be a beacon, like an inspirational beacon for the healing power of love, as transmitted through your hands to the world of cardiology, in which you will be highly respected and appreciated through your actions. There you go. Necessary Truths is up next. Another courtesy reading for Jeffrey. Are you still here, Jeffrey? Let's have a look here. Oh, left. Okay, Jeffrey, are you working? So, Jeffrey, do you want me to just do this, go blind for you, and you can watch it later? I mean, I can still do the reading, and you can catch up with it later after work or something. No big deal. Okay? And what's this? Who's this? There's someone else there. So something about Pearl. I'm going to read for Jeffrey now, okay? I'll show you like this. Jeffrey, we're here. There you are. This is your reading, Jeffrey, okay? So if you're working, just, put the screen aside somewhere. We'll do your reading. If you want me to go blind, I can do that. Okay, we'll do blind. Okay. So Jeffrey, so that everybody knows here who's watching, it's just a very small crowd. Jeffrey and I have worked together before, so we do have some history together. So if it sounds like I'm talking about things where I already have some prior awareness, that I need to disclose that to everybody. Okay? I would like to disclose that. Okay? Alright, so Jeffrey's at work. Can't focus, but the reading's going to continue anyway, and he'll catch up with it later. And he's given me permission to do a blind reading, and that's always fun. I just got this funny vibe thing. I don't know why I'm picking them up so strongly today. But regarding you, Jeffrey, I was getting this very warm, rich, soft kind of, what's the word? Sense of assurance and confidence that I can sense about you from here, but that you needed to hear that coming back from me. It's sort of like what people write in the screen sometimes. It's just like, I know you're very hardworking, you're very smart, a businessman, you know a lot about finance and planning and all of that, and you've done a lot of studies, and you're kind of like a really good example of what can happen with someone when they dedicate time and energy. But what I was sensing just before while I was shuffling there is that because you can be so powerful and focused on what you're doing in a very earthly, practical way, sometimes you lose track of your own, like credentials, credibility, or what's the word? Validation. Because we've talked together before about like where you came from, what you had to live through compared to where you are right now. And that's kind of a big leap for a lot of people to understand, but you did that. And every now and again you might have little moments of self-doubt, but you need to hear it like from someone like myself, where it's just like you just need to know, like, hey bro, hey man, you got this, seriously. Whatever issues, yeah, sure, we've all got issues, but man, you seriously got this. You've got a good heart, you've got a good soul, it's in the right place for the right time, for the right reasons, with the right people. Okay? There's a lot of benevolence here, but sometimes people who are in positions of leadership, authority, control, and responsibility, they are not sometimes they're not. Some people try to be there, like fame, power, glory, and money, for self-aggrandizement. That's not what's happening here. It's simply for benevolence, act of self-love, but what's also good for the world, the community. How can you grow? And you've already got kind of like ambitions lined up already. you just needed to know, like from, a guy, like, man, Jeffrey, don't worry, man. You got this. You seriously got this, okay? Just needed to know that before I even start the reading. Okay, here we go. All right, so what kind of messages do we have for Jeffrey today? Don't listen, Jeffrey. Just concentrate on your work and all of that. What kind of messages do we have here for Jeffrey regarding life in the moment? What does he need to know, if anything, that's specific, that's not so apparent without a reading? Maybe it's an affirmation, maybe whatever it is. We'll see what shows up in just a minute. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Necessary, for sponsoring a reading for Jeffrey. That's pretty awesome. Cheers. It's thirsty work. All right, cards are well shuffled. I'm going to cut it all up. Bless these cards. Bless every single card. Bless the whole deck. Bless the technology, the cameras, the electricity, the software programs, the mind-boggling complexity of what actually goes on here to make it look like it's so simple about what we do. Thank you, dear heavenly beings who, let's say, surround us. Thank you, my invisible friends, my guardians, my angels, my interns, all of those I have. They're not my interns, in case people don't know, because I talked about this years ago, but I'm very lucky. I have a really good relationship with my invisible friends, but I also have, there's different layers and tiers like guardians. I'm very lucky with the guardians, and of course with guides, but also it's something that people aren't supposed to know about or feel on a day-to-day basis, but I've also got, there's 7 interns who basically answer to the primary invisible friends, so that they're like interning to be like tier 1, highest level of invisible friends. And it takes work. They have to learn how to do it, just like, Happy was going through her testing to be a cardiologist. So it happens on the other side too. Okay, so I'm very lucky. I'm aware that there are 7 interns interning with the tier 1 invisible friends over here, plus all all the other let's say spiritual support that I get here. All right, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Let's have a look at circumstantial energy. I'm going to, whatever this is, I'm going to refer it to the chart in just a minute. I'm going to look at it, astrological weather. Hi, King of Pentacles. This is something that you needed to know, Jeffrey. This needs to be, it's like a certificate. To me, it feels like, okay, this is going to sound a little bit, taking the storyline a little bit to the extremes. Okay, this is the energy of mastery. Okay, complete mastery. King of Pentacles has mastery over the physical world of money, manifestation, physical matter, and how to optimize. Okay, so I think what's happening with the King of Pentacles here, it's an indication that you're absolutely in the zone where you need to be regarding optimization of your physical 3-dimensional material life on this world here, 31st of March 2021 in the United States of America, over there in Texas. The King of Pentacles is all about mastery on the physical plane. So the way I look at it is, let me go back over here a minute. So like when we talk about mastery, it's, you might not think of it every day because of who you are, how you are, the way you are with your business, because you're focusing so much on well, it's just flowing naturally for you as well. The business of business, the business of three-dimensional reality, finance, growth, stability, responsibility, all those things that come with great wealth. With great wealth comes great responsibility. And you're building those things simultaneously. The more wealth that you build, the more responsibilities you will incur, and the more that you will grow. And again, this is going to be speaking like your actions will be speaking for you. You don't have to prove that to anybody that you're awesome, because the proof is all around you. It's going to show up in your work, your career, your business developments over the long term. This is going to be a very, very, let's say, prominent hallmark that is with you now and through for the rest of your life. That's how I look at it. It just needs to be reflected every now and again in the moment, just like I felt before we started the reading. When I talk about mastery, it's the ability. It doesn't mean Jeffrey has to sit there all day looking at Tarot Illumination astrodoodles and saying, how am I going to make the best of this? Because we all have to do this consciously or subconsciously. What's happening is that somewhere in Jeffrey's being, he has a natural instinct that allows him to sense and read these highly optimal alignments here and conditions, and how to make the best of them here on Earth in three-dimensional life in a way that's good for him, his life, his world, the business, the community, finances, everything in terms of material mastery. In other words, the best use of money, the best use of resources, the best use of talent, the best use of time, the best use of connections and relationships, and putting that all together to be optimized. And for that to happen, it also means that Jeffrey has to have, it's almost like I'm not even talking to you, Jeffrey, at the moment. I'm just talking to the audience. But Jeffrey has to be able to be aware of the risks and the challenges going forward. He has to be very, very aware about where things can go wrong and how they can go wrong, especially in ways that you can't even see right now. Secret enemies, the house of secret enemies, fake communications, fake deals, fake contracts, fake people, all of that. So for Jeffrey to be able to, let's say, cash in on the optimal energies here, it requires having to be acutely aware of the challenging aspects at any one moment in time. Like, for example, in a day or so, the moon's going to be up here. We're going to have a big opposition over here and a big T-square over here. Yeah, maybe that's going to be more stressful for some people, but Jeffrey will find a way to figure that out and deal with it. It might be a stressful day or whatever, but he'll deal with it, because that's the art, that is the essence of mastery in the material physical plane. Especially for the long term, okay? Fretterly! Yo! Let's have a look. What's the situation itself? Oh, I got a very strong feeling here, Jeffrey, with the Six of Cups, that you're heading towards something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, perhaps even in previous lifetimes, where, you know, this is kind of to me, it's sort of a karmic card where you're recycling energy from the past. Some people think of this as a past life energy card, but it's a very loving, benevolent energy. I'm not saying like boyfriends and girlfriends here, but I've noticed this in my own life, but also in my adult life from childhood. I've been acutely aware of the recycling of people and relationships in my life that I'm pretty sure I knew in past lives. So with the Six of Cups here, what it feels like to me is that it's almost like, whew, finally, I made it. I'm living in a lifetime right now where I have at least a chance of hooking up with people that I can relate to on my frequencies, my people, my team, my partners, my loved ones, friends, family, all of that, in such a way that it works. In other words, going forward for you, Jeffrey, to me it looks like just being reminded that you have the hallmarks of mastery when it comes to business, finance, growth, responsibility for the long term. And ultimately that would show here as someone, what a lot of people would call a life well lived. You'd have property, money, assets, resources, really good reputation, people who love you for being Jeffrey because you are a supreme master at this stuff. And this is very, very hard-earned energy, perhaps over multiple lifetimes, to get to the point right now in this lifetime where you actually have a chance to manifest at the level at which you are capable. But for that to happen, it does require very, let's say, deep, sincere, loving relationships between yourself and a small cadre of very select people who can relate to you at the heart level. Okay? You have to relate to them with the heart and soul. They have to relate with you at the heart and soul. And I think this is pivotal to your life going forward. In other words, you just can't pick up anybody off the street and say, okay, I'm going to hire you. You do that, you do this, you do that. It feels to me like there's a little bit of the team effort here. We've already talked about team effort here. But to me, I'm seeing it amplified in such a way that you don't have to give pep talks to the teams and things like that. It just happens spontaneously, naturally, because everything I'm seeing here is benevolent and ultimately for not just the good of yourself, but your loved ones and potential, perhaps future loved ones, perhaps a future spouse or a mate or a partner of some kind that manifests in your life as a result of you just minding your own business, okay? And you go forward from there. For example, in a very simplistic sense, successful males with good intentions, good heart, good loving energy are very, very appealing to certain women, especially if they want to have a loving relationship with a certain male who has these classic characteristics that a lot of women would appreciate. Question is it a soulmate or not, or whatever? But I'm not trying to do a love reading here, but to me it looks like relationships are very important going forward, making sure that the relationships have the primary ingredient of loving and being loved. They don't have to be the most expert accountant or the most expert whatever on your team. They just have to be infused with love, where like you'll love them even if they screw up on a bad day, or they'll love you even if you screw up on a bad day. This is very, very valuable to you going down the road long term. Okay, what's the challenges here? Okay, sometimes it looks to me, this is a very powerful card, like mastery to the nth degree. This is where it looks like it's spectacular, almost like magic. How the hell does Jeffrey do what he does? Because you can't do what Jeffrey does without some kind of extra invisible force moving into you, through you, okay? And I think you already understand what this is. This is the energy this is the magician. And the magician energy, one of the things that they struggle with is that they know they have immense power. So in other words, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, oh my God, you realize every day I have to take who I am and what I do and my people very seriously. Because it would be so easy to, let's say, turn this into self-aggrandizement or some kind of self-serving, like enterprise where It's no longer about the love or the stability in the home and creating foundations of good business. It's all about lust for greed and power and control. Okay? I don't see that happening here. What I see happening here is deep fear of your own gifts. In other words, I'm going to go back again, all right, over here. Like, in that position with that card, it's a really powerful card in that position of, the way I look at it, is extreme self-doubt. So if you, let's say as you're evolving, going through day-to-day life, day after day, week after week, month after month, and something really challenging happens, because of your past experiences regarding challenges, you might go through these episodes of extreme self-doubt, like, my God, I don't know how I'm going to go through this. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. Maybe it's going to be something to do with taxes and the IRS, or accounting, or business relationships, or legal challenges going forward in your life, your business, all the incredible things that have to be dealt with that the King of Pentacles would do, which is dealing with business. I have a successful brother, and his job is really about managing relationships and reading into the relationships. He surrounds himself with talent, and it involves things like deep loyalty, deep commitment, deep passion to their work. And his relationships are very, very important. His whole business is based on having really good relationships with really, really good people. And that's worth a fortune. You can't measure that. And he's had opportunities to take his business and either sell out and expand and grow and multiply many times over what he started, but it would come with very egregious contractual obligations that make it devoid of the heart and the soul and the grounded earthiness of who he is and what he built. And he never did sell out. And there have been tiny moments. Let me go back to you. Okay, so hold on, Jeffrey. So what I'm sensing here is that you're going to have to be aware that with great power comes great responsibility, especially when it comes to finances and the relationships. How does this all really work? And to me, it feels like it's again something triggered or registered with the past, where because of some very challenging experiences you had in the past, there is a deep fear of screwing up. What happens if I lose my gift? I lose my talent, I lose my inspiration, I lose my ability, I lose my power, I lose control. What happens? Am I going to sink back into the black hole and then have to start all over again? That is the sort of energy that could keep you up at night with a cold sweat, almost like the energy of a nightmare, where you wake up in the middle of the night like, what the hell? And you realize, oh my God, it's just flashbacks or something like that, okay? And that's a perfectly legitimate fear. All of us are programmed and, conditioned from infancy and childhood, even in the womb. So that's what you're dealing with here, okay? How do we deal with that? It's basically a lot of power here that has to be managed appropriately, dealt with, and keeping love at the center. You don't have to talk about love in romantic terms, but I know that you understand, Jeffrey, the healing power of love, and how love is an energy field in itself. And that needs to permeate your whole business, your whole life. And then this fear will diminish. How do you go forward here? Okay, you stay focused on winning. Okay? It's like really, really simple. Start with pentacles, material, physical reality. Sure, whatever else we talked about here. But the way to handle it is, it's almost like, the way to go forward is almost look like, okay, I'm going to show this again here. It's the Ace of Pentacles. This is a card of sacred opportunity. It's there. You don't have to take it, but it is there. But when you do take it, and it's appropriate, and it's infused with your natural good intentions here, this is a very powerful energy which will multiply your talents and resources and gifts for you. But it does require making bold moves, taking risks, okay? To me, it feels like the way forward, the way to handle the situation is every day wake up and see it as a brand new challenge. Whatever you've built in your life up to this point, all the challenges, all the benefits, that's already in the past, okay? So you wake up every morning, it's just like, it's a brand new day. Hey, people. Wow, look at this. Wow, I've got my business, my life, my world, my family, my people. Wow, okay. What's next? Let's move on, people. And then you switch back into classic Jeffrey, where it's really on autopilot now, where like, how am I going to tune into this day, at this moment in time, in physical reality, so that I can optimize all the talents, gifts, and resources I have at hand right now, and deal with whatever challenges we have right now in this day. One day at a time, okay? I feel like I'm talking as though I'm some kind of like success coach. How to magnify your power. How to tune in to your best, most optimal self. As I say, adjusting my tie and my suit and my dazzling credentials. Okay, anyway, so with the Ace of Pentacles going forward, like, sure, you're going to have moments of doubt. Sure, you're going to have moments of like, my God, I could lose all this tomorrow just because the federal government changes one tiny sentence in the law. Ah! You deal with it. You do preemptive homework and all that kind of stuff. So with the Ace of Pentacles going forward, the way to deal with like the extremes of the life here, in other words, the tremendous natural talents that you have for business and growth, is to keep tapping into that. And always make it your number one thing. It's just like, okay, what's on the plate for today, people? I think Ace of Pentacles, okay. Like, okay, it's almost like setting up a business desk, however you run your life, your business. Like, okay, here's the stuff, like the to-do pile for today right now. And here's the stuff that's the cleaning and the sweep up and horrible, hideous messes that I wish I didn't have to deal with. But if I don't deal with them, it just contaminates the good stuff. So you have to identify it, name it all, and if you have to, delegate to your team, your people, yourself, whatever, to optimize the situation. That's it. And it is literally like running a business in the most effective, natural way possible, which benefits everybody. There's nothing bad about capitalism and growth and managing a business and paying very close attention to things like money and business. It's an art form, and you have that gift, okay? You need to know, Jeffrey, again, reassurance, bro. You have a gift. You have that gift, and it is your duty, responsibility, obligation to grow and mature with that gift, and it will compound, like compound interest. It will grow like, what's that expression? From a tiny acorn, a massive oak tree will grow. That's kind of what we're dealing with here. You have lots of life ahead of you. It's just constantly doing, it's almost the same thing over and over again. It's just minding your own business, literally. Okay? You just needed a reminder. I think the reading here is just a reminder, or more like a clarifier. Like, seriously, Jeff, you really got a gift. You've got something, and that gift it's special. It's rare. Not a lot of people have that gift with money. If you look around planet Earth or America, most people are scrambling for every employer. For every employer, there's 10, 100, or thousands of employees. Not a lot of employees, even if they're middle or upper level management, necessarily want to be the boss or the leader, because it comes with huge responsibilities. Someone's got to do it. To me, it looks like you're built for that role. You're built to be the boss, the leader, to carry and understand the great responsibilities without it being a crippling burden, but you just know how to handle it. It requires decision making. It requires focus of energy. And statistically, very few people have that. If you have it, it's a very, very valuable gift, and it is your duty, born duty, to tap into that gift and optimize it. Optimize the business. Optimize the growth. 24/7, 365. It doesn't mean you're going to be burdened all day. It's just that that's the direction of your compass. Think of the Ace of Pentacles as the direction of your compass. Just keep it on there. Obviously, it's going to waver here or waver there, but eventually, make sure it's just like navigating through life. Think of the Ace of Pentacles as your North Star. All right? Thanks, Jeffrey. More power to you. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to put Mona on the side here, maybe on Sunday, or maybe I'll do some more readings later in the week. I don't know. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm pretty much going to wrap it up now. I don't see any more super chats anywhere. Let's have a look. Nope. Let me just check something here. I'm going to see if I've missed anybody or anything. Chat amongst yourselves, please, for a minute while I do this. Thank you. And let's go over. I'm just going to click around a bit. I got to do some homework. And then that would show over here. Okay, that's it. Okay. Alright, yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go over here. Clickety click. Click this, click that. Now I can check back in with you guys. Alright, Jeffrey, so yeah, there it is. There's your reading. I'm going to clear the decks here. I'm going to hang out with folks for a couple of minutes, maybe at the most, and then we all get on with our day, okay? Thank you all, everybody, for your kind donations, and especially, like, pay it forward with the other readings for other people. Thank you very, very much, okay? All right, let's just clear this up a little bit. And then we'll move on. I think that'll work for now. I need another sip here. Yeah, Frittily, I'm going to wrap it up with some music. What was it? I heard some news about you the other day. Was it yesterday? Maybe we should connect. Hold on. Anyway, we'll do that later. Thanks for checking in, Sabrina, who's that? Sabrina, I didn't see anything from Sabrina. Wait a minute. Sabrina. What's coming in the future for me with love? Okay. Alright, okay, so Sabrina, maybe we'll connect next time, another time. This is the Tarot Illumination channel. I'm considering branching into another channel called the Daily Transit, where I might do a lot shorter programs and just do a couple of readings and an astrodoodle, and 5 or 6 days a week. So there will be opportunities, Sabrina, down the road, but for right now, I'm going to wrap it up for today. And hope to see you all again in the near future. I'm going to play things out with some music. I'll watch the chat for a minute. If I miss anything, we'll check back in. But for now,